Well, howdy, how y'all doing today? It's a little different. I ain't been up very long. I'm still kind of halfway asleep, but thought I'd come on here and have a cup of coffee with you and talk about something that completely different from what I normally do. But I was listening to the police scanner this morning, and they were talking about taking this 13-year-old boy to a detention center on there for battery. He got into a fight on the schoolyard. So they're going to take this 13-year-old boy to jail, to a detention center. Well, you might as well say it's jail, for battery. But I remember back when I was a kid that, if you got in a fight, there was two things that either happened. Either you won or you got your butt whipped. End of story. If it was at school, you got automatic 3-day suspension. Big deal. But now, they take you to a detention center and charge you with battery. If you fight back, both of you go to detention center for battery. Don't make sense, does it? And if the more you think about it, they do that more and more and more now. And it's because parents have lost control of their kids. And they've lost control of their kids because the law says now that you can't spank your kids. So now the burden falls upon law enforcement. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying, think about it just a little bit. You got this kid that's brought up on this timeout thing, and you take a kid that is brought up with a hand across his butt every time he screws up. You take these two kids and you put them up against a house, a wood frame house, and each one of them got a pile of limbs and leaves and stuff like that up against the house, and each one of them got a can of lighter fluid, and each one of them got a box of matches. Well, the kid that brought up on the timeout thing, he pours his lighter fluid on there, and he takes his little match box, and he takes a match out, and he says, if I light this match, I'm going to have to sit in front of the refrigerator for an hour. Sets it on fire. Now you take the other kid that brought up with a hand across his butt. He pours his lighter fluid on there, takes his matchbook out, and he takes that match, and just before he lights it, he stops and thinks about it. If I light this match, my daddy's going to take my Xbox, my PlayStation, my computer, my TV, my bicycle, my go-kart, and he's going to whip my butt. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it because he understands the consequences later on down the road. The timeout kid does not understand the consequences. That's why our jails are overflowing now with kids that are in and out of trouble in detention centers all this time because they don't understand the consequences of their actions. The government and these right activist people have got people believing that if you discipline your child with corporal punishment, it teaches them to be violent. No, it doesn't teach them to be violent. It teaches them consequences of their actions. I'd like to have your thoughts on this. That's just my beliefs. I'd like to have your thoughts. Do you feel like a child that's brought up on the timeout system and a child that you sit down and you try to reason with this child, do you think that he's going to be a model citizen when he grows up? Yes or no? Do you think that a child is brought up with a hand across his butt understands consequences and understands being respectful and understands the law? Do you believe that? Now, this was brought up because of what I heard on the scanner this morning, and people have asked me what do I mean by that that's on my profile, that I would rather go to jail for spanking my child than have him go to jail later in life. And I do believe that. And before I start getting all this stuff that I'm a child beater, My son is 14 years old. He's had my hand across his butt maybe 10 times in the 14 years. But he's a model citizen, straight A student, excels in everything he does, backs away from problems. When I say problems, I mean somebody being aggressive with him. His size, I mean, the kid's 14 years old. He's 5 foot 10 and a half inches tall, 206 pounds, and a 14 and a half inch shoe. So he doesn't get threatened very often, but he understands that it takes a bigger man to walk away from a confrontation than it does to actually confront. But he also understands that he will not stand there and take the abuse. And he understands the difference. I've taught him well. So anyway, my question is, do you believe the timeout thing is working? Or do you believe that we ought to tell the government to kiss our royal butt, that we're not going to allow our kids to be growing up that way and not understanding consequences of their actions? Because they just don't understand. You know, they think they're going to sit in front of a refrigerator for an hour. Well, you go before a judge and the judge gives you 10 years. That's a hell of a timeout. So anyway, leave your comment, make a video response. Video response box is open. Entertain all of it. Y'all have yourself a good day. Just let me know what you think.